Most businesses are chasing marketing trends. The smart ones are doing this instead. Now, have you ever felt like your marketing is losing its edge? Maybe your webinars or launch events that used to work are slow and don't even seem to be bringing in the level of clientele that they used to. And those tried and true social media strategy has the lowest engagement ever, and it's starting to feel like the well is drying up. So you do what every expert tells you to do. Post more, tweak your strategy, try the next hot trend, but no matter how much effort you put in, the results don't match the work. The problem isn't your effort, it's that the market has changed. And this is good news for experts. It's created the opportunity for true, profound experts to win. And I'm going to show you how to do this without needing to rebuild your entire business from the ground up. And I'll share the real talk on why your marketing isn't as effective as it used to be, why chasing trends won't fix it, and why the smartest businesses are doing instead to keep growing without constantly reinventing the wheel. So let's get real. Now, hey, and welcome back. Now, 2024 was a wild ride for many businesses. We call it the year of reinvention. Why? Because there was a drastic market shift that affected the way businesses market, sell, and even serve clients. There were big name businesses that shut down or completely overhauled their offers, where high ticket coaches were now reduced to selling low ticket flash offers, where big name consultants and service providers took a step back, drastically reducing their teams and services. The changes were felt by everyone. And what I'm hearing more and more is what used to work just isn't working. Now, 7 and 8 figure businesses that used to run wildly successful events and webinars are seeing less and less people showing up. And the level of clientele that they're bringing in has dropped massively. And small businesses who relied on word of mouth and referrals are suddenly scrambling to find more reliable lead sources. Things have changed, and that left a lot of businesses trying to find out what needed to change to get back to the results they were getting in years past. And I'm going to blow the top off on what's happening, how this affects your marketing, so that you can see that there is a way to create a timeless strategy that doesn't rely on constantly keeping up with every shift in the market, algorithm, etc. But to understand what you should do, you need to understand why what you're doing isn't working, even though you've spent more resources than ever before. Now, the best way to explain this, I want you to imagine that you're fishing in a lake that used to be full of fish. Now, you used to be able to cast your line anywhere. Within minutes, you'd reel one in. But over time, that lake became overcrowded. Too many people fishing, too many distractions, and the fish got smarter. See, they're not biting at the same bait anymore. That's what's happening in the market right now. A large portion of the market isn't buying the way they used to. They tightened their belts, slowed down, or stopped buying altogether. That doesn't mean that there's less opportunity. It just means who you speak to matters now more than ever. And knowing this means we need to understand the 3 big reasons marketing feels harder right now and the timeless strategy that combats this. Now, reason number 1 is market saturation and overconsumption. The reality is the amount of content online has exploded and people are consuming now more than ever, but they're also learning how to tune it out faster than ever before. So while many want to believe that market saturation isn't real, it is. And it's not just the number of new businesses that are opening every single day, but it's the rate at which they market that has increased. The sheer amount of content that you are up against is the major culprit. Think about it. How often are you scrolling through social media, you see something you're interested in, but you never actually click? See, it's not that the content isn't good, it's that your brain is overloaded with options. More information and more options means you're competing for brain space and the capacity for people to make decisions. This is why more content isn't the answer. Your audience isn't looking for more noise, they're looking for clarity. And the brands that win aren't the ones that are posting the most. They're the ones that are saying the right things at the right time in a way that cuts through the noise. Now, reason number 2, the trust recession. We've entered what I call the trust recession. Now, people have been burned by making bad investments where they overpromised and underdelivered and hype that never really lived up to the reality. So now, people are just naturally more skeptical. They don't just want more proof, they want you to rebuild their trust before they'll even listen. So for your marketing, this means that buyers need to see more of the how. They don't just want to know what you're going to allow them to create, those promises. They want to see the pathway that's going to drive that result. they're also paying closer attention to who they trust, not just who's the loudest. This is why marketing that focuses on surface level pain points or hypey promises just isn't working anymore. Buyers don't want a quick fix. They want to know that they're making the right decision. Now, the third reason is that mid and low intent buyers just aren't spending like they used to. This is the biggest shift that people just aren't talking about. The reality is, low intent buyers, those who used to buy on impulse and jump into every offer and make emotional decisions, just aren't spending frivolously anymore. They're more cautious, they're waiting. And the problem is, most businesses had built an entire business model centered around these low and mid intent buyers, which means they created marketing that focused on convincing. Their events worked because they spent 5 days getting people to believe that they were ready to buy. They could throw out offers with hype-like marketing and people would fall for it. Business was easier, but trust was at an all-time high and buyers were making more emotional decisions. So while buying behaviors have completely changed for low and mid-intent buyers, high-intent buyers have remained the same. See, high-intent buyers don't slow down. There's still a huge market for people who are actively investing, actively buying, and actively looking for solutions. The difference? They don't respond to the same tactics as low-intent buyers. An example, those free webinars that used to work like magic, people are no longer doing them because they no longer have the time to warm up. Instead, high-intent buyers want to get straight to the point. They're looking for something that's going to be fast, efficient, and innovative, so it's solving their problem in a way that others haven't. So if your marketing still caters to mid or low-intent buyers, you're gonna feel the slowdown. But if you shift to high-intent habits, everything changes, which leads to why the typical things you've been taught just aren't working. So while many others are preaching that you just need to post more or increase your reach and social presence or create that book funnel, low-ticket offer, or insert whatever next big trend there is, or worse yet, that you should lower your prices and completely overhaul your marketing strategy are all a lie. Look at it this way. The idea that you just need to post more or be more consistent is built with this belief that if you were just to shout louder in a crowded room, people would finally hear you. But if everyone is shouting, volume isn't the problem. It's that no one is listening. The online world is noisier than ever, and people are overwhelmed with content and information. So it's not that your content just isn't being seen, it's that it's not cutting through because your audience is consuming too much too fast. So where most people are touting the idea of hiring a team to create Alex Hormozy amounts of content to keep up, the focus instead should be on how relevant your message is to the right people. And that starts with understanding who is actually still buying. Now, the second misconception is that you need to jump on every new and latest trend. You've seen it before. One day, everyone is telling you that Instagram Reels are the key to engagement. The next, it's AI-driven content. Then it's LinkedIn, live video, or whatever else is trending. Chasing marketing trends is like switching diet plans every 2 weeks. One day you're doing keto, the next you're doing intermittent fasting, and you're cutting out carbs completely. And then nothing works. You blame yourself for not being consistent enough. The problem isn't the trend itself. It's that trends don't solve foundational problems. They only amplify what's already working. And the more dependent you become on trends, the more your business becomes reliant on constant change. Why? Because trends come and go. Remember when Clubhouse was all the rage? Now when you hear that name, all you say is, oh yeah, I remember that. The reality is trends can be great opportunities to ride a wave. The problem is when businesses become dependent on these trends only for them to change as they always do. So instead of chasing the latest marketing fad, the real solution is understanding how buyer behavior is shifting because that determines what actually works. Now, the third and final misconception is that you need to lower your prices or overhaul your strategy. Now, when sales slow down, the knee-jerk reaction is panic. Maybe your price is too high. Maybe your entire marketing system is broken. Maybe you need a brand new offer. This is like seeing a crack in the wall of your house and deciding to bulldoze the whole thing down instead of just fixing the foundation. Most businesses don't need to burn their strategy to the ground. What they need is a way to adjust to the shifts in the market without throwing everything that was working and build a process that allows them to stay top of market shifts rather than chasing to keep up. Because here's the truth. There are people still buying, and a lot of them. The ones struggling to sell are simply marketing to the wrong buyers or using outdated triggers that no longer apply. So what does this actually mean for your marketing strategy? Now, the biggest mistake I see businesses make is that when their marketing stops working, they burn it all down and start over. But market shifts don't mean that your entire strategy is broken. It just means that the triggers that drive demand have changed. This is where smart businesses separate themselves. Instead of constantly reinventing the strategy, they refine their approach by studying the shifts in buying behavior. And they build their marketing for high intent ready buyers. So let's break this down into 3 key shifts. Number 1, building the system for high intent buyers. Number 2, testing and researching demand triggers instead of changing the whole strategy. Number 3, selling based on your method instead of your offer. So here's what we know to be true. Mid-intent and low-intent buyers are finicky. Their needs are changing. Why? Because investing in a solution isn't a priority. It never has been. As a result, they make you jump through hoops just to say yes. Can you build a business that's built around these buyers? Sure, but that'll also mean that you need to get comfortable with constant change. For most businesses, this is neither feasible or preferred because a timeless system is built around the best buyers, not the worst. This is why the first step in having a set it and forget it marketing system is targeting the right buyers. So instead of focusing on these unready, unqualified clients who have not prioritized solving their problems, your focus instead should be on attracting your gold standard clients, those who have made solving their problem priority number one. It's the difference between speaking to someone who has stopped settling for crappy men on their vision board and the woman who is in therapy defining her priorities and looking for the right man. This is the foundation of a successful and sustainable strategy, identifying the DNA of your high intent gold standard buyers so you can build your entire system to meet their needs. Now, the next piece is testing and researching demand triggers. Think of your marketing strategy like a restaurant. Your overall concept remains the same, but the specials on the menu change based on the season. That's how smart marketing works. Your core strategy should be rooted in human behavior. That doesn't change. But what does change are the specific angles and triggers that make people buy. Here's an example. Let's say that you help CEOs and professionals slow down and balance life and work. Now, a few years ago, people were buying because they wanted a way to be at home more. So the way you would market to that desire looked different. Your angle would be speaking to this idea of being at home and creating a space where you can relax. But today, they might be looking for a way to be more productive in their work so that they can actually shut things off when they go home. So the way you market to this desire would look different. The outcome remains the same, work-life balance, but the trigger has changed from being at home to being more productive. If you understand this, you don't need to change your entire marketing strategy. You just adjust the way you position the offer. This is why having a research and validation process is so important when building a timeless and sustainable marketing strategy. So let's think about how you actually create a research-based approach to finding those buying triggers. I want you to think about how can you listen to high-intent buyers talk about their problems? What are they saying they need? What objections do they have? Next, you want to pay attention to what they're avoiding. If certain messaging feels played out or overhyped, they'll ignore it. And lastly, test different angles instead of different offers. Don't rebuild your strategy, just tweak your messaging and see what sticks. This is how you stay ahead without constantly chasing trends. The second biggest mistake that businesses make, they sell based on what they offer instead of how they get results. Here's why that's a problem. Offers change and your method doesn't. So imagine two personal trainers, one that sells a 12-week low-carb weight loss program, and the other sells their method for sustainable fat loss that works for any goal. If fitness trends shift and people stop buying low-carb programs, then the first trainer is stuck. But the second trainer, their method is timeless. They can package it into different offers and attract clients easily. This is why method-based selling is key. If you've ever felt like you're constantly reinventing your offer or creating something new just to try and keep up, this is why. You're selling the offer and not the method behind it. So when you shift to method-based selling, you're now anchoring your marketing into your unique method. Next, your messaging is now offer proof. Instead of focusing on what you're selling, you can focus on how you help people achieve the result. And lastly, you're positioning yourself as a category of one. Because when your method is the selling point, your marketing becomes timeless. This is how businesses build marketing that lasts instead of constantly starting over every time the market shifts. So let's bring it all together because smart businesses that are winning are the ones that aren't chasing trends. They're the ones that are mastering adaptability. It's why for us, we've run the same strategy and same system for nearly a decade now. Myself and my clients aren't jumping ship and reinventing everything with every new change because a timeless marketing strategy isn't about guessing the next big thing. It's about setting up a system that works regardless of market shifts. And there's three things we need to understand to do this. Number one, understanding that demand never disappears. Your job isn't to create demand from scratch, but to align with how high intent buyers are already thinking. Number two, using research and testing to adapt your messaging, not your entire strategy. Instead of burning everything down, you can adjust your positioning based on buying triggers. And number three, building your marketing around your method, not your offer. This makes your business resilient to trends and keeps you from constantly reinventing. This is what I call our inbound marketing system, and it's the key to creating a set it and forget it strategy that doesn't leave you chasing your tail with every next big change. And the formula behind this is demand angles plus mirror decision making equals a set it and forget it marketing system. Now let's start with demand angles. We touched on this already, but staying on top of the angles that create demand in your business is fundamental. You don't want to get caught with your proverbial pants down because you're overused marketing angle. What you may not know is that we actually use two marketing systems to layer together. One is our bingeable decision system. This evergreen system focuses on indoctrination into our method. While I may make changes every few years, the foundation to the system remains the same. This is important because it's the front end of our marketing. Everyone comes into our world, goes through this within the first two steps. Now on the back end, that's where our testing and adapting happens. And this is important because not only does it allow us to stay ahead in our marketing, but it speeds up our sales process and reduces lead churn with our leads. Each week, we're able to test and validate different desires our high intent buyers have. This episode is a perfect example of that. Not only am I able to pick up where our bingeable decision system left off to go deeper and wider into the different reasons people buy, but it gives me the ability to test and validate angles that I would have otherwise missed if I didn't have this backend system. So for example, I recently created an episode where I talked about our podcast profit system that turns your podcast into a client generating machine. And that took off. We had nearly 1,000 comments on this topic alone. By creating a back-end system that stays on top of these angles and tests them regularly, I'm able to adapt and win in my marketing without changing everything. See, creating a systematic process that keeps you up to date with the driving desires in your high-intent buyers is the bare minimum. And our clients, they learn an easy-to-implement approach that keeps them updated on the shifts in buying triggers, allowing them to test these regularly so that they're at the cutting edge of the market rather than trying to keep up. This back-end system is exactly why our conversions remain high. We know exactly how to adapt and support buyers through simple content. Next is mirror decision making. Now, remember how I said that high-intent buyer behavior hasn't changed? Well, it's true. People are making decisions the same way they always have. It's basic human behavior. Our brain naturally moves through a cycle anytime it's making a decision. So whether you're deciding on what to eat for dinner tonight or whether or not to invest in your program, your brain will go through the same series of questions and thoughts. It's like a checklist in your brain, and how quickly or how slowly you come to a decision is dependent on how easily your brain can check off those boxes. So when deciding what to eat for dinner, your brain can do it in a split second. You don't even realize it's happening. Why? Because that information is sitting right there inside your brain, easy to grab and easy to process. But deciding on investing in your program, well, that information is hidden. Your brain can't find it, so it creates hesitation. It slows your decision making down. But this cycle is important because when we understand it, we can mirror it. That's why a key to having a timeless strategy isn't about chasing every next big thing. It's about mirroring decisions. That's why our entire bingeable process, whether our front end mini series or our back end content system, is built around mirroring decisions. If your marketing feels harder every year, that's a red flag. The right strategy should be easier the longer you're in business. Why? Because you're doing it right. Your audience starts to trust you more. Your positioning becomes clearer and more distinct. Your buyers come to you instead of you chasing them. This is how you stop marketing from feeling like a constant race to keep up and start building a system that compounds over time. Most businesses are stuck in a cycle of chasing trends. The smart ones, they're refining their message, they're building trust, and they're staying ahead without starting over every 6 months. So you can see having a timeless set it and forget it strategy is one that combines the steadfast concepts built around human behavior, our mirror decision making, and an adaptable system that finds and validates the shifts in desire that drive demand angles. This is why the Easy Yes method is so powerful. It focuses on a sustainable approach that drives easy yeses. And the first step is winning the market. This is all about innovation. See, it's not about marketing. It's not about hype. It's not even about fancy messaging. It's about actually solving the unsolvable and unmet needs in your market and creating a solution that quite literally creates a market of one, making you the only and incomparable solution. And more importantly, your competition becomes irrelevant. This is where we stop fighting for attention and start creating demand where people are running to you. Now, the second piece is building a bingeable decision system. This is where we layer the two systems together so that we can develop a decision system that takes into account how people naturally make decisions. We mirror that with your content and your marketing system. So now you can use one single method-based system that drives demand and creates high-intent clients so that you can convert those over and over again. No tweaking, no shifting, no constantly reinventing the wheel, just one method-based selling system that does the selling for you. And third is that you actually have to be able to deliver on the promises that you make. I'm going to say this to you over and over again, but you need to be able to create the actual delivery systems that drive results for your clients at scale and makes them feel like they're the luckiest client in the world. So they go shout from the rooftops and tell everyone that will listen about what you do. This is the answer to sustainable growth that allows you to truly create a business where you are enjoying it so that you're going on vacation, doing all the things you love while actually running a business that thrives. So if you're ready and want to see how the EasyYes method can be applied within your business, I want to invite you to book your growth optimization call. On this call, you and I will sit down, we'll look at what your business looks like, what your growth goals are, and how the EasyYes method can work inside of your business. So if you're ready to book that call, head on over to easyesleads.com/call. Now, if you're new around here, first of all, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. And you can learn a little bit more about how our 3-step method works so that you can get your leads to sell themselves using the Netflix effect. Head on over to the netflixeffect.com to check it out now. And if you haven't already, make sure that you rate, subscribe, and share this with a friend so that we can create a movement with experts leading the force. Until next time, here's to keeping it real.